Pizza. It smells comforting, familiar, safe. But for millions of older Americans, that warm slice is loaded with salt, grease, and chemicals that can push blood pressure and kidney strain to dangerous levels. From crusts fried in oil to sauces laced with hidden sugars, we rank the nation's biggest pizza chains from the very worst to the one you can actually trust. Let's count down from worst to best. Coming in at number 9, Chuck E. Cheese, the fun for kids chain that's anything but fun for your arteries. On the surface, it looks harmless. A place where kids run around, parents sip soda, and pizza arrives at the table like part of the entertainment. The commercials sell birthday magic. The arcade games drown out the sound of the kitchen. But when health inspectors step inside, they find something very different. Here's the shocker. In a 2020 sweep, nearly 1 in 3 locations failed basic safety checks for meat and cheese storage. That's not small stuff. That's the kind of oversight that lets bacteria like Listeria thrive. And for seniors, Listeria isn't just an upset stomach. It can turn into a hospital visit. Bacteria loves warm cheese more than kids do. Let's talk taste. The crust doesn't taste like bread. It tastes like cardboard soaked in oil. It bends before it breaks, then collapses into a greasy chew. The sauce glows a red so bright, it looks more like paint than tomatoes. That neon tint comes courtesy of Red 40 and Yellow 6, dyes banned in parts of Europe for links to hyperactivity and allergic reactions. Here, they're still poured into kid-friendly pizza without warning. Ever wonder why the cheese doesn't stretch like real mozzarella? Staff forums have hinted at cheese blends cut with starches and oils. The result? A rubbery melt that leaves behind a fake milky odor, closer to plastic than dairy. You won't believe what's sitting in those ovens. It's not just taste, it's numbers. A single slice of their pepperoni pizza can hit over 750 milligrams of sodium. Eat 3 slices, and you've swallowed more salt than a senior should have in a full day. Sodium doesn't just make you thirsty. It pushes blood pressure through the roof and dulls the effect of heart medications. Add nitrates from cheap pepperoni, and kidneys already under stress are forced to filter even harder. A whistleblower in an inspector's report even noted shredded cheese left out in bins near 60 degrees Fahrenheit for hours, right in the bacteria danger zone. For a child with a strong immune system, maybe just stomach cramps. For someone over 60, that's a fast track to dehydration and hospital IV drips. The betrayal is cruel. Chuck E. Cheese markets nostalgia to parents who grew up with the brand, promising the same family fun they remember. But the kitchen hides sloppy storage, chemical dyes, and sodium bombs dressed as comfort food. It's less about pizza and more about survival, keeping cheese edible under heat lamps and sauce shelf-stable for weeks. Still fresh or bacteria playground? Here's the thing. Seniors expect safety. They expect food served in a family chain to at least meet the basics. Instead, what they get is pizza that smells off, tastes oily, and carries risks that pile up bite by bite. Heart strain, kidney stress, blood sugar spikes. And for what? A slice that even kids push aside for arcade tokens. They don't sell pizza. They sell nostalgia coated in Red 40 and regret. And if you think cardboard crust is bad, wait until you taste pizza that doubles as a salt lick. Number 8. Little Caesars, the chain where hot and ready really means hot and salty. The pitch is simple. Walk in, hand over a few dollars, walk out with a whole pizza in under 5 minutes. No wait, no fuss. Cheap and fast. But here's the problem. Cheap and fast almost always means cheap and filthy. Ready fast, but so is your blood pressure spike. Take 2 slices of a Little Caesars pepperoni pizza. That's 2,600 milligrams of sodium. For a senior, that's more than the entire daily safe limit in just 2 slices. 4 slices? You're now pushing past 5,000 milligrams. That's not food, that's a salt lick baked into cardboard. The crust is the first betrayal. Straight out of the oven, it has a little puff, but under those heat lamps, it turns into rubber. Bite down, and it chews back like elastic. Break off a piece and you'll see grease oozing into the cardboard box, pooling into orange puddles that soak through the bottom. You're not holding dinner, you're holding an oil sponge. Ever tasted pizza that chews back? And then there's the cheese, or rather, the cheese blend. Real mozzarella stretches. This stuff snaps. Why? Because it's padded with sodium phosphate and modified starch, fake fillers that stop clumping in storage. A staff forum once joked that the only thing authentic about the cheese was the plastic bag it came in. The sauce doesn't help either. At first glance, it looks rich, but taste it, and the metallic tang hits hard. That's from citric acid and preservatives designed to keep it shelf-stable, not fresh. The flavor clings to your tongue long after the bite is gone, leaving a sour, tin can aftertaste instead of tomatoes. Nutrition panels show a single hot and ready pizza clocks over 2,700 calories and nearly 9,000 milligrams of sodium. That's more sodium than 3 fast food burgers and fries combined. For older adults on blood pressure medication, that sodium spike doesn't just raise blood pressure, it cancels out the meds that are supposed to protect your heart. And let's not forget nitrates. The pepperoni topping is soaked with them. Those nitrates help preserve the meat under hot lamps, but they're also linked to higher cancer risks. Europe has already taken steps to limit nitrate levels in processed meats. Here in the US, they're still sold by the pallet. It gets worse when you see how pizzas are held. Former employees have described pies sitting under heat lamps for over an hour, grease pooling into slick lakes, cheese congealing into a rubbery skin. Customers think they're getting fresh baked. What they're really getting is a salt bomb reheated until it looks edible. So let's tie it back. For seniors, all this isn't just an inconvenience. High sodium slams the kidneys. Saturated fats thicken the blood. Fake cheese additives mess with digestion. Put that together, and you've got a hot and ready pizza that's also hot and risky. It's not pizza. It's salt delivery in cardboard. But at least Caesars admits it's cheap. Papa John's promises better, then serves worse. At number 7, Papa John's, the chain that swears by better ingredients but sneaks in worse ones. The slogan is catchy. It promises a step above the greasy competition, but peel back the crust and you'll see what's really hiding inside. Better ingredients, better chemicals. Independent lab tests in 2022 revealed traces of potassium bromate in Papa John's dough. That's a flour conditioner used to strengthen bread while baking. It makes the crust puffier, softer, easier to produce on a large scale. The catch? The FDA has flagged potassium bromate as a possible carcinogen. It's already banned in the European Union, Canada, and Japan. Yet in the US, it still shows up in dough served to families. For seniors already vulnerable to cancer risks, that's not better. That's dangerous. Then there's the garlic butter sauce. Customers rave about it. But one whistleblower said, "It's not butter, it's oil in a costume." And they're not wrong. The tub is mostly partially hydrogenated soybean oil flavored with artificial garlic compounds and a splash of coloring. Dip your crust in, and it coats your fingers in a greasy film that sticks long after the pizza's gone. That same slick coats your arteries, layering trans fats where blood should flow freely. You won't believe what's swimming in that garlic tub. Take a closer look at the pizza itself. The crust carries a glossy sheen, not from olive oil, but from shortening brushed on to hold in moisture. Bite into it, and the grease seeps out, leaving a clammy texture that clings to your tongue. The pepperoni glistens under the lights, not with freshness, but with nitrates, preservatives that may keep meat red but stress kidneys and raise cancer concerns. Stats don't lie. One large Papa John's pepperoni pizza packs over 3,400 milligrams of sodium. That's more than an entire day's safe limit for older adults in just a few slices. Add in the garlic butter dunk, and you're stacking salt, trans fats, and preservatives in one meal. For someone on blood pressure medication or blood thinners, that's a direct collision with their health. But here's the real kicker. Papa John's leans hard on traceable ingredients. Yes, you can follow the supply chain, but traceability means nothing if what's being traced is harmful. A senior with kidney issues doesn't care if their potassium bromate came from Kansas or Kentucky. They care that it's still in the dough at all. What's the fix? Skip the tubs and sauces. If you're stuck at Papa John's, stick with plain cheese, thin crust, and avoid the garlic butter. It won't be healthy, but it trims some of the worst offenders. So let's call it like it is. Papa John's doesn't sell better ingredients. It sells marketing slogans dipped in oil. It's not garlic butter. It's artery glue with a marketing slogan. If you thought fake butter tubs were scary, wait until you taste nostalgia fried in hydrogenated oil and regret. Sliding into 6, Pizza Hut, the classic that aged worse than the VHS tapes it was born with. Once upon a time, Pizza Hut was the treat. Pan pizzas, red booths, and pitchers of soda at the birthday table. The brand leaned hard on nostalgia, promising comfort, consistency, and that signature crunch from its deep pan crust. But today, that crunch is hiding something much darker. Nostalgia never tasted this greasy. Here's what they don't tell you. That deep pan crust is fried in hydrogenated oil before it even hits the oven. That's what gives it the golden edge and heavy crunch. But hydrogenated oil means one thing: trans fats. And trans fats mean clogged arteries, higher cholesterol, and heart risks that land especially hard on seniors. A slice of Meat Lover's pan pizza alone delivers 950 milligrams of sodium. That's almost half the recommended daily intake for anyone over 60 in just one slice. 2 slices, and you've blown past safe limits before you even think about breadsticks. Is it pizza or just a salt sponge? Bite into a slice, and you'll see what I mean. The crust soaks up grease like a sponge dipped in fryer oil. The cheese stretches, but instead of melting cleanly, it forms rubbery strings that stick to your teeth. The meat toppings bleed orange grease onto the plate, pooling until it looks like someone tipped over a bottle of cheap cooking oil. And the afterfeel? Heavy, like eating a burger stuffed inside bread, washed down with salt water. And here's the kicker. In 2018, Pizza Hut announced they'd removed artificial dyes like Yellow 5 and Red 40 from their menu. Sounds good, right? But even without the dyes, the real issue remains: fat, salt, and sugar in overwhelming amounts. Seniors watching blood pressure, on kidney medication, or managing cholesterol don't stand a chance against that combo. One meal sets off a chain reaction: fluid retention, strain on the heart, and spikes in blood pressure that can undo weeks of careful management. Pizza Hut still sells healthier options, like veggie pizzas. On paper, they sound safe. In reality, even those slices carry more sodium than an entire fast food cheeseburger. Your body can't tell the difference between pepperoni or peppers when both are sitting on a crust drenched in hydrogenated oil. So what's the fix? If you're stuck at Pizza Hut, thin crust with veggies and no extra cheese is the lesser evil. It's still far from healthy, but it cuts down on oil and sodium. Better yet, skip the chain and pick up a frozen pizza brand that's labeled safer in Europe. Why do you think childhood favorites taste heavier now? The sad truth is simple. Pizza Hut didn't keep the recipe because it was good. It kept the recipe because it was cheap. Oil is cheaper than quality ingredients, and nostalgia sells even when it clogs arteries. They fry memories in oil and call it tradition. Why do you think so many classic foods from our childhood taste heavier and saltier now? Halfway through at number 5, Domino's, the chain that's less greasy but still sneaky. Domino's loves to call itself the pizza people. They market convenience, consistency, and that shiny image of piping hot pies arriving in 30 minutes or less. And yes, compared to Pizza Hut's oil-slick pan crusts, Domino's looks cleaner. The slices don't drip grease the same way, and the crust holds together better. But here's the catch. It's not what you see, it's what you taste. A step forward, but only a baby step. Domino's sells real mozzarella. That's the headline, plastered across ads and menus. But real doesn't mean pure. The cheese is padded with cellulose powder, a plant fiber added to prevent clumping. Technically safe, yes, but it leaves the cheese with a faint dusty texture and a mouthfeel that's more chalk than cream. The first bite might fool you, but keep chewing, and it's obvious. This isn't the gooey, fresh melt the ads promise. Is that mozzarella or plant dust? And then there's the sauce. Instead of simple tomatoes, herbs, and oil, Domino's sauce carries a suspicious sweetness. That's high fructose corn syrup, a cheap sweetener that hijacks your taste buds while stressing your pancreas. Seniors on blood sugar meds or with kidney concerns know this isn't just a detail, it's a landmine. Your body reacts fast, with sugar spikes that feel good in the moment and crash hard later. But here's the real shocker. Domino's bragged about lowering sodium levels in recent years, and technically they did. Since 2020, sodium content dropped about 8%. Sounds impressive, but when one slice of a medium pizza still packs over 500 milligrams of sodium, cutting 8% barely dents the danger. 4 slices hit 2,000 milligrams. That's a full day's limit for seniors in a single sitting. And yet, many customers still feel like they're eating healthier at Domino's. The crust looks thinner, the grease is less obvious, the toppings are fresher in appearance. But looks deceive. A whistleblower on a staff forum once admitted that many proteins, like the so-called grilled chicken, come pre-marinated in sodium phosphate, a chemical that extends shelf life but strains kidneys. It's progress, but progress wrapped in chemicals. Wait until you see what's coming next. Taste-wise, Domino's does beat out the heavier chains. A bite of their thin crust veggie pizza is lighter, with a cleaner chew and less after-meal fatigue. But even that option isn't safe. The corn syrup in the sauce and the sodium in the cheese still pile up in your system. If you're on blood pressure meds, the strain is real. Your arteries don't care whether the slice looks shiny or not. So what's the fix? If you can't avoid Domino's, stick with thin crust, no extra cheese, and load up on real vegetables. Avoid meat toppings and garlic butter dip. It won't be healthy, but it lowers the damage. Less grease, more chemicals. That's progress. Most people never learn which pizza chains actually cut the chemicals. Stay tuned. We'll reveal the safest pick at the end. Number 4, Marco's Pizza, a smaller name but not a smaller risk. Marco's sells itself as the authentic alternative. Real cheese, simple dough, sauces that look fresher than the heavyweights like Domino's or Pizza Hut. Walk into a Marco's and you'll smell oregano and tomatoes instead of stale grease. On the surface, it feels like a safer bet, but fresh on paper can still be risky in practice. Take their 2023 recall. Thousands of pounds of pepperoni were pulled after Listeria monocytogenes was detected. That's not just some technical slip-up. Listeria is deadly serious, especially for adults over 60, pregnant women, and anyone with weaker immune systems. The CDC has reported that older adults are up to 3 times more likely to die from a Listeria infection compared to younger people. So when Marco's pepperoni hit the recall list, it wasn't just an inconvenience. It was a hazard that could land seniors in the hospital. Would you trust pepperoni that made recall headlines? And the meat wasn't just a recall problem. Customers have described it as inconsistent even before 2023. Some days it looked fresh, glossy with just the right cure. Other days it had that slimy surface sheen, the kind you see when deli meat sits too long. One ex-employee said in a staff forum that certain stores kept opened pepperoni packs well past their use-by dates to save money. So while Marco's advertises freshness, the reality behind the counter sometimes paints a slimmer picture. But let's talk flavor. Their sauce is one of their selling points. It does taste fresher than Domino's, with less syrupy sweetness and no high-fructose corn syrup. That's a win. Bite into a plain cheese slice, and the sauce does stand out, tangy, tomato-rich, with herbs that don't taste like powder. Yet as soon as you add meat, the illusion cracks. The pepperoni can overwhelm with salt or fall flat and bland, depending on which batch you get. The unpredictability is the problem, and that unpredictability is where the danger lies. Seniors who need consistency for health reasons, like those balancing sodium intake with blood pressure meds, can't afford to play roulette with bacteria. One slice might feel safe. Another could push sodium over 700 milligrams and introduce unseen risks. 4 slices and you're brushing against the recommended 2,000 milligram sodium limit for the whole day. Marco's markets transparency, simple ingredients, no dyes, no corn syrup, and that's mostly true. But one crack in the system, like a tainted pepperoni supplier, can undo all of that in seconds. It proves that even smaller chains with cleaner marketing aren't immune to big problems. In Europe, stricter food safety rules might have prevented this from ever happening. In the US, it slipped through until a recall had to clean up the mess. So what's the takeaway? If you stick to a plain veggie slice at Marco's, you're safer than loading up on meats. It's not health food, but it avoids the roulette of bacteria-ridden pepperoni. Seniors especially should skip processed meats altogether here because one bad batch isn't worth the risk. Marco's sells freshness, but one slip turned it into bacteria roulette. Want to know which foods are quietly wrecking your blood pressure? Subscribe now so you never miss what's really hiding in your favorite meals. Coming in at 3, Blaze Pizza, the chain that looks healthy until you read the fine print. Walk into Blaze and the setup feels different. Fresh veggies on display, dough stretched in front of you, the whole build-your-own concept. On the surface, it looks like the healthiest pizza chain on the block. You get to pick your toppings, your crust, your sauce. It feels like control. But here's the real shocker. What you can't see is what matters most. The proteins, especially the grilled chicken and sausage crumbles, aren't as clean as they look. They arrive at stores pre-marinated in sodium phosphate. That's a chemical salt used to lock in moisture and extend shelf life. Sounds harmless? Not quite. The FDA allows it, but medical studies have tied high phosphate intake to kidney strain, especially for seniors already on heart or blood pressure meds. What looks like grilled chicken is really more salt bath than grill, and it shows. Bite into that chicken and instead of smoky char, you get a glossy, almost wet texture. The meat glistens unnaturally, like it just came out of brine, not off a flame. The sausage crumbles? Spongy, almost rubbery, with the kind of spring that makes you wonder what's holding it together. Healthy branding, chemical loading. Midway through, let's pause. Why would a chain that pushes fresh sneak in additives like this? Blaze leans hard on its image. Thin crust, veggie options, lighter sauces, and those parts do taste better. The crust is airy, not dripping with grease like Pizza Hut's pan pies. The olive oil drizzle actually adds flavor instead of fat, but stack that against the chemical-laced proteins, and it's a bait and switch. They sell you health, then slip in the same shortcuts that other chains use. Seniors are the ones who pay the price. Phosphates mess with calcium balance in the body, which weakens bones and puts more pressure on kidneys. For older adults already dealing with high blood pressure or kidney issues, this isn't just about bloating. It's about added risk with every slice. 4 ounces of Blaze's grilled chicken can push phosphate intake past what nephrologists warn is safe for people with kidney concerns. But here's the twist. If you avoid the meats and stick to veggie toppings, Blaze can actually be one of the safer chains. Fresh peppers, onions, mushrooms, spinach, They're cleaner, with fewer hidden surprises. The sauce is lighter, and the sodium hit isn't as crushing as Little Caesars or Papa John's. The problem is, most customers don't build their pizza that way. They see proteins and assume grilled chicken is the safe bet. Isn't it strange how healthy pizza still sneaks in chemicals? One former employee on a food industry forum joked that Blaze pizzas look like salads until you realize the meat's been soaking in a science experiment. That's the betrayal. Transparency in toppings, but secrecy in sourcing. So what's the fix here? Skip the proteins and load up on veggies. Keep the olive oil drizzle. Treat Blaze as a veggie-forward option, not a meat-heavy one. It's not perfect, but it's one of the few chains where you can limit the damage if you know what to avoid. Blaze lets you pick toppings, but not what's hiding in them. Isn't it strange how some healthy pizza places still sneak in chemicals through toppings? Runner-up at number 2, California Pizza Kitchen, the chain that tastes better, but not as safe as it seems. There's a reason people love this place. CPK feels like a breath of fresh air compared to the oil-heavy giants. The menu has variety you don't see elsewhere. Thai chicken pizza, California veggie, even lighter thin crust options. They've made strides by using antibiotic-free chicken and focusing on cleaner dough recipes. For customers looking for something fresher and more modern, it's easy to see the appeal. But here's the trade-off. Those gourmet touches often come with hidden costs. Fresh feel, sugar steel, take their famous BBQ chicken pizza. It's a customer favorite, and the flavors really do work. Smoky sauce, tender chicken, a little crunch from red onion. But one bite in, the sweetness hits you. The sauce is sticky, almost syrupy, leaving a sugar burn on the back of your tongue. That complex flavor isn't just from smoke and spice. A single serving can hold up to 26 grams of sugar, nearly as much as 5 Oreo cookies. Pair that with 2,400 milligrams of sodium, and it's a combination that pushes blood pressure and sugar levels in the wrong direction. For seniors already balancing heart meds or kidney concerns, that's a dangerous mix. Complex flavor or a sugar disguise? It's not all bad news, though. Compared to chains like Pizza Hut or Domino's, CPK has cut down grease and artificial fillers. The dough is fresher, and you'll notice less of that oily film that coats your fingers elsewhere. But the hidden sugars mean the clean feel doesn't tell the full story. One ex-server even admitted that managers told staff to brush the BBQ sauce on extra thick because it made pizzas pop for guests. Translation: more sugar, more repeat orders. It's clever marketing disguised as freshness. So, what's the fix? If you enjoy CPK, go for their thin crust veggie pizzas and ask for sauces on the side. Skip the BBQ base if you're watching sugar and balance your pie with a salad minus the heavy dressings. That way, you get the fresh toppings without falling into the candy-coated trap. It's gourmet branding with candy-level sweetness. The number 1 spot goes to a chain most people overlook, but it might be the only one that truly earns your trust. Finally, at number 1, MOD Pizza, the chain that does less but somehow delivers more. The so-called fast casual chain built its brand on honesty, and it actually holds up. No endless ingredient lists, no fake shortcuts. The dough? Just 5 ingredients: flour, water, yeast, oil, salt. The cheese? Real mozzarella, not the cellulose-padded stuff you'll catch elsewhere. In an industry where recalls make headlines every year, MOD hasn't had a single one in the last 5. That's not marketing spin. That's consistency. Clean, clear, consistent. And you can taste it. Walk into a MOD, and the first thing you notice is the aroma. Bright, fresh, with a little olive oil sharpness hanging in the air. The crust comes out with a light snap, not the soggy slab you wrestle with at Pizza Hut or Domino's. Even the texture feels different. Lighter, less greasy, almost crisp. It's pizza without the sludge. For seniors, that difference isn't just about taste. MOD's average pie comes in with sodium 30 to 40% lower than the competition. That matters when you're keeping an eye on blood pressure or balancing meds that don't play well with salt overload. One slice here won't hijack your entire day's sodium limit, which can't be said for a meat lover's slice at the big chains. This is pizza without the sludge. Still, it's not health food. MOD's pies carry calories and carbs like any other pizza. But here's the twist. It's real food, made in a way that doesn't trick you. No chemical brines soaking the chicken. No high fructose corn syrup lurking in the sauce. It's simple, it's consistent, and in today's pizza world, that almost feels radical. Customers know it too. Staff forums often mention how MOD kitchens don't need cover-ups like spraying cheese to keep it from drying, or brushing on extra oil to fake sheen. One ex-employee joked, "Our worst problem was running out of olives, not explaining to people why their pepperoni looked slimy." That kind of honesty is rare. But here's the real question. Why is this the exception, not the rule? Europe enforces tighter controls on additives, yet here in the US, MOD stands out simply for not cutting corners. Shouldn't that be the baseline? Not health food, but real food. Finally, if you're looking for a fix at home, the lesson is simple. Keep it stripped down. Use a fresh dough base. Keep toppings light and season with herbs instead of relying on sugar-heavy sauces. That way, you get flavor without the fake. MOD proves it can be done at scale, which means your kitchen can pull it off too. Not perfect, but real. And in the world of pizza, that's worth more than another limited-time deal. But if you want real fixes, here's what to actually eat at home. Don't risk your health on greasy shortcuts and chemical dough. Subscribe now, and next time you'll know which brands actually deserve your trust.